so excited to be here in the vineyards of San Marzano with Mauro Di Maggio. How is my pronunciation?
Perfect, almost Italian.
My Italian, very Italian. And today we're talking about the wines of Puglia in this beautiful setting, because people often now think of Puglia as a destination to travel, but it's also a historic wine region that's gaining prominence. Why should people look to Puglian wines?
Yes, Puglia has a very long history in winemaking. We've been doing wine since 2,000 years more.
Short amount of time.
Not me personally, but and we have very old grape varieties. For example, in this peculiar vineyard, we have a vine growing system which is very old, which was brought to us by the Greeks. So it's part of the history of this land. We are in the Hill of the Boot. Mm-hmm. It's a very sunny and this is
clearly.
It's a very sunny and warm region. A very long and thick region in between two seas, the Ionian Sea and the Adriatic Sea. In this thin layer of land, we have almost viticulture and olives. Mm-hmm. So what we do is wine and olive oil almost, and some good vegetables. This region, the Primitivo di Manduria area, very well known for red wines, big red wines, mm-hmm. which have a nice, very deep color, which comes from the sun. You see from the ripening, the sun gives to the fruits. They have a nice structure normally, a roundness to them, which gives them an easier way to understand them. So they have a nice fruitiness. They are quite modern and clean, and that's why I suppose Puglia wines are gaining success all over the world.
And so obviously, because of the location, I mean, you mentioned, Puglia is in quite a unique spot compared to the rest of Italy. How does that translate in terms of what you get from the soil, what you get from the temperature? Because obviously the wines here are growing in very different conditions than perhaps a lot of the other Italian wines that American consumers are more familiar with.
Yes, exactly. Because we are the southeastern Cape of Italy, we are the first to harvest together with Sicily, which means that this year, for example, we started the 7th of August with the best white grapes. Primitivo, for example, takes its name from the fact that it's the earlier red variety, so we started the end of August, beginning of September. So this percentage of sun during the day gives a big help to the ripening of the berries. In terms of the climate, our goal in vine growing and winemaking is to make balanced wines, being very careful to the freshness of the fruit, because we have a very nice fruit, so we want to keep this fruit in the glass, so we need to keep the freshness and the integrity of these nice aromas we have. Because of the climate. The soil is quite red because of the presence of a lot of iron elements, not very rich, so the vine plants have to struggle to feed the grapes. That's why they have low yields with very high concentration. So the wines you get from this kind of soil are very highly structured with nice alcohol, nice aromas and nice sweet tannins. The wines from this area are very pleasant reds and very whites with nice perfumes with a lot of fruit to it.
And let's talk about the Primitivo grape. For those who aren't as familiar, that's kind of the most well-known grape from this region. Explain it to people who haven't maybe had a Primitivo wine.
Yes, it's an early ripening grape. That's why it is called Primitivo. It is very rich in sugar and in aromas. That there are table grapes and grapes for wine. Right. Normally you eat table grapes. The grapes for wine are small berries, they're a bit acid. Primitivo is, if you want to understand the wine from Primitivo, you have to taste the Primitivo berry, because it has a nice chocolate to it, nice plum, nice ripe red fruits. It's a very I'd say sexy, easy to understand wine because of its high presence of fruit. The bunch of Primitivo has always traditionally has normal ripening berries and a few dry berries, because it's a characteristic of the vine variety that it has different ripenings. When we harvest it, it has berries which are which have a normal ripening and berries which are already dry. So there is a much more substance to it and less water. So normally, if you see a Primitivo, it has a very thick red color with nice purple hints all around, and it has a nice round structure with nice alcohol, nice sweet tannins.
And so for someone who's saying, all right, I'm interested in trying Puglian wines, where should they start? Probably with the Primitivo, but what other names should they look for if they're going to start exploring Puglian wines?
In terms of vine varieties, you mean? Well, Puglia is a region with very peculiar vine varieties. So we are in the Primitivo area, which is the most important. Now the Primitivo is the most important wine in southern Italy, the Primitivo di Manduria. But you have other grapes which are important to our region and to our winery, to San Marzano too. For example, Negramaro, which has a more traditional structure as a grape. So it has higher presence of tannin and higher acidity, so it will give a more traditional structure for people, for example, used to wines from Piemonte or Toscana. Otherwise, we have some interesting Malvasia that you can taste normally in blend with Negramaro.
Obviously, Puglian wine has been around for thousands of years, but it's really grown in its international presence in recent years.
Yes.
You know, what do you think is that attributed to? You know, is it just that, you know, Puglian winemakers want the world to see what they're making? Has there been a shift in the winemaking? You know, what do you attribute to sort of the growth of Puglian wine?
I think being free from any, I mean, we didn't have the success
of other
Toscana and Piemonte had. So we were free to create something new. We were free to, I mean, take the best from other experiences, like you have in many regions, and still take this best and link it to our tradition, which is long. So I think this mix in between our history and the open eye we all had to the world made the current success for Puglia winemaking.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about Puglian wine history and what people should look for. Very much looking forward to drinking more wine. Thank you.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Cheers.